Olive, let me see. What'd you get in your stocking? Wow. Olive, what did you get here? What is this? You want to open it? What is that? Olive, what is this? What did Santa bring you? What did Santa bring you, Olive? Hi everyone, it's Dave and Olive. Thanks for joining us here at Book Blather. Hope everybody had a great holiday season. We know it's over, but we did read a few Christmas-themed comics and graphic novels during the season, so we wanted to review those for you. We read 3, to be exact, and we'll just jump right into it. So the first one we read is a graphic novel called The Last Christmas, written by Gerry, Duggan, and Brian Posehn. I hope I pronounced that right. This is a bit older, this one, from 2006, published by Image Comics. We actually hadn't heard of this, and we just recently found out about it from Rachel over at TheShadesofOrange. If you haven't heard of her channel, she has a great channel, does a lot of horror, but also sci-fi, fantasy thrillers, and she's has a bunch of great lists, like these holiday lists, and we've got some good recommendations from these themed lists that she does. So she was talking about this one, and so we picked this up. This was originally published in single issue form, like 5 issues. This is a post-apocalyptic world, and there's kind of like The Walking Dead. There's a lot of what they call mutants, which are basically zombies, and bad people that have not been mutated that are called the Marauders. And so in this, bad post-apocalyptic world, something right in the beginning very bad happens to Santa Claus. And so it basically makes him pack it in, and he wants to give up and end it all. But he discovers that he's actually immortal because he's Santa Claus, and he can't kill himself as long as somebody still believes. And of course, somebody still believes. So it sets him off on this adventure with his trusty elves that are, some of which are kind of humorous. And of course, he goes from this, in the course of this adventure, obviously he goes from this, from being all depressed to actually saving Christmas again. And it's about what you'd expect it to be. It wasn't a phenomenal story, but it was fun, and there were parts that were funny. So, it's definitely worth reading. I think at Christmas time, it was a fun little romp. Okay, the next one that we read is a graphic novel by Joe Hill. As you may know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, and he's a great horror writer in his own right. And he's written a number of books, but he's also no stranger to graphic novels. He wrote my favorite graphic novel series, Lock and Key, which is a little bit better actually than the TV adaptation that they have now. This I think about 6 volumes, and graphic novel volumes, and these are, not that the TV show is bad, but these are better. These are a little more on the creepiness, horror side, and a little less on the teen drama side. But Joe Hill has written a number of books, including this one, which Nosferatu, which came out in 2013. This is a pretty well-known, pretty popular book. This was a great book, and a lot of people read it around the holiday times because it does have a certain aspect of it that relates to Christmas. So a lot of people have heard of this book. What a lot of people have not heard of is the prequel to this book, which is a graphic novel. It's called Wraith. And again, this is written by Joe Hill and illustrated by Charles Paul Wilson. I think this came out in 2019. This was also originally published in single issue form, I think 7 issues. But basically, this is, as I said, a prequel to this book. This, just a brief summary to give you context. What this story is about is that there are certain individuals that, with a certain ability in particular objects, can use those objects to travel into a sort of different world, alternate version of reality. And the main character in this book is Vic, she has a special bicycle that she is able to ride into other realities, I guess. But her arch nemesis in this book is somebody that she has a bad experience with very early on. This individual whose name is Charlie Manx, and he has a limousine, Rolls Royce, called Wraith, that he also uses to ride into another reality, which for him is this place called Christmas Land. Hence the connection with the holidays. But of course, it's not a nice Christmas land, and Charlie Manx is a very unsavory individual, and so this book follows the interactions that Vix has over the course of her life with Charlie Manx. So what Wraith tells the story of Charlie Manx, leading up to and the beginning of Christmas Land. It tells you his story and how Christmas Land started. So you see Charlie Manx basically as a kid, and then when he has his family, and what he goes through in his life that leads to his creation of Christmas Land. And a lot of it is the story of some people that have an accident and end up being taken to Christmas Land, and their battle there, and but there's this very lengthy prologue and a very lengthy epilogue, which are basically their own issues, and which tells a lot of the backstory. And there's a lot. This was pretty good. There was a lot of Joe Hill did a really good job of connecting a lot of different things, and a lot of having things circle back around, and a lot of different people like reconnecting with each other or being the causes for things. And so this was really good. It wasn't phenomenal, but it was pretty good. Again, the art wasn't perfect, but it was pretty decent. The story wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't as good as the novel Nosferatu, but it was pretty good. It was probably our favorite. It was definitely our favorite of the three things that we read during this, of the three graphic novels that we read during this holiday season. Okay, and so the last one that we read is Klaus by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Dan Mora. So this we actually had in single issue form. We've had this for a few years and just never got around to reading it. But of course, you can also get it as a graphic novel now, hardcover or softback. But this was published started in 2015 and finished in 2016. This original series, as you can see, it starts off at saying 1 of 6. But a few issues in, that turns into of 7, because I guess they realized they weren't going to finish it in 6 issues. So it's a 7-issue series, and you can get the graphic novel for that 7-issue series. Since then, there have been a number of specials. I think 4, which we have not read yet. But what this tells a story of, this is basically an alternate origin story for Santa Claus. As you can see, he looks pretty different here. And this is basically set in sort of Dickens style wintry village called Grimsvig, I think was the name. And this village is ruled by a despot, and nobody can have any fun. Children can't have any toys, and this tells the story of, so there's some of Claus in it, and there's some of, I don't give too much away, but some of his counterpart in it, and this tells the story from really pulling roots from sort of Viking lore and Siberian shamanism, and tells a story of how Claus comes to the town. It's a little more complicated than that, but we won't spoil it. How Claus comes to the town and finds this really depressing situation, and how once he gets there, how he starts to bring hope back to the town, and in the process become what eventually we know to be Santa Claus. So this was pretty good. The art was very good. I'll just show you a couple sample pages. We really like the art. The story. The story was decent. I would have expected it actually to be a little bit better coming from Grant Morrison, but it was okay. It was my only issue with it really was it was a little choppy, and a lot of times the dialogue was kind of it just jumped, like it wasn't very smooth, and it would just jump right ahead, and it seemed like it was skipping parts of the dialogue, and so it wasn't like that fluid of a read. But it was still an interesting story. It's definitely very original. It wasn't humorous. It was it was meant to be thematic for the holiday, and meant to be a little bit scary at times. So but it was, again, like the other two. This was definitely worth reading. It was probably my least. I don't know if I'd say it was least favorite of the three, but maybe. But all three were worth reading, and so it was pretty decent. We'd recommend it. Okay, so those are the three graphic novels that we read for the holiday season. Again, we hope everybody had a great holiday, and it's off to a great start for the new year. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you get notified the next time Olive says it's okay to upload another video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.